there's really a lot of room for interpretation with all of these metrics. And so I think it's really important to think about search purchase journeys as complex because they're very rarely search, click, buy. And so there's many opportunities for uh, semantics to impact the metrics that we see. Which is why the first thing I did when Search Query Performance Report became available was, okay, how many of my sales are they actually attributing to these searches? Because I wanted to get some indication about how um, greedy or stingy their attribution was, because that impacts how I view that data. So that doesn't give an answer on what exactly is happening, but it's important to be thinking about those things whenever we get access to these data points to understand what we know and maybe what's just a trend. That's a reliable trend because the measurement methodology is consistent. And so we know if things are growing or falling or if things are doubling or halving, but maybe 100 searches or 100 purchases from search aren't 100 purchases from search.
Well, and also they may not be 100 purchases either,
Mm,
because how do you count the purchases?
yeah. Right.
So
They may not back out returns, and they probably don't on the search query performance.
yeah, and also, search query performance. So let's say that you may look at the data for, let's say we are recording this in February, let's look at January. So you
Mhm.
download search query performance for January, and it may show 1,000 purchases. But
Right.
some of those 1,000 purchases may be from December. They just were attributed to January.
Sure.
So when you say, okay, search query performance is 1,000, where do you go to check how many purchases you in fact had, so that you can say, oh, this is only 16%. So where do you go? There's no place to go, because the definition may be different. That
Mm.
definition that you will apply, I mean, the safest and the most definite way to look at your order count is download your order data. That's
Yeah.
paid. That's paid for. So when
Mhm.
you look at that, that does not ever fit into search related reporting. So
No.
so perhaps, so that's why I say to you, you are telling me 16 to 20%. Okay. Well, how do you know what is the total? You don't either.
Uh, no, I mean, I don't know how many I should actually be attributing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what is the comparison? So, you know that search query performance is going to show X.
Yeah.
So, you want to know what percentages it represents, but you really do not have a reliable way to say, okay, I'm going to compare this to this as the total. That is also an unknown.
No, I mean, you can compare it to your total sales, but or you
As
can compare
dollar
it
value,
to, yeah,
as dollar.
other, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, units or dollars, depending on what you're working in. Um, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't have an authoritative report.
Yeah.
This is how
It's
much came
just,
from search because I don't run Amazon's analytics and the definitions they publish are insufficient to tell you.
yeah, this exercise, I think in your case, what you're doing, and in my case, what I'm doing, it's all a feel good exercise. We just feel that we're doing something to get an understanding, but really, what are we getting?
No, I
Definitions are all over, right?
yeah, but I'll tell you what's a little bit more concrete about it though is the relative change because unless Amazon is playing
Yes, yes,
with their measurement and not telling us.
yeah,
Sometimes they do say, "Hey, we made a change to our measurement methodology. We backdated the data
yes.
for this date." Uh, there's a alert right now that's telling me something about that with ads on the screen. But uh, unless unless I have a reason to think that, and I don't really have a reason to think that the search query performance data is unreliable. So I don't want to give that impression at all. But what I do really look at is how many more or fewer searches did somebody make for a keyword like camp chair this January compared to January?
Relative change, relative
Yeah.
change.
Super useful. Or what percentage of the camp chair clicks did my brand get compared to the month before, compared to the year before? That's super actionable. And as far as I know, very reliable. I haven't seen any reason to doubt that the definitions behind those numbers are changing. And so I think those tell us a lot about what's changing about our performance and our position in a category, even if I don't know that, how many of my sales I should be attributing to search versus something else.
I mean, look, there are so many things that are very useful. For example, impression share, that's very important, very valuable. You can have add to cart rate, purchase rate. Those are all the numbers may not be important, but especially looking at it relatively over time to see how it's something that's being consistently getting cart ads and purchases versus something that's sporadically getting. Those are all things that you can say, there's something here, so I can run more paid ads for this, or change my content, change my picture. Those keywords that are not getting click-throughs, that's also something that you can say, getting good impression share, but not click-through. I don't know if that's possible, but it's these are all things that are useful. Well, this we kind of digress, but it's a
We
good
did, yeah.
discussion.
It's,
Uh,
yeah, very
so
good.
yeah,